Hello, hello, hello. Did you see that magnificent rainbow in the sky earlier today? Well, one of our friends did. It was Jack. You know Jack. He's the boy with the beanstalks. It was just this morning that Jack decided to plant another magic bean to see where this beanstalk would take him. As soon as the beanstalk shot up into the sky, Jack began to climb. Higher and higher he went, when all of a sudden the most beautiful rainbow appeared crossing the sky. It's just like a magical bridge, thought Jack. And he was right. This was no ordinary rainbow, but rather Bifrost, the legendary bridge to Asgard, home of the Viking gods. Suddenly, Loki, the god of mischief, came running down the rainbow bridge, brandishing a majestic hammer. Reaching the ground, Loki felled Jack's beanstalk with one blow from the mighty hammer. Jack just managed to save himself by leaping from the toppling beanstalk onto the rainbow bridge. The bright colours vibrated and pulsed under his feet. Climbing up the bridge to Asgard, just as the rainbow faded away behind him, Jack was met by Thor, the god of thunder. Bifrost appears only once in a blue moon, he told Jack. Now how can I pursue Loki, who's stolen my magic hammer? I know how we can get back to Earth, Jack told Thor, busily planting one of his magical beans at the very edge of Asgard. In a moment, a beanstalk grew downwards from the soil of Asgard towards the very earth itself. Meanwhile, Loki was living up to his name as the god of mischief. He was using Thor's incredible hammer to bring down a raging rainstorm. Jack's poor mother found their house surrounded by floodwater. Loki cackled with laughter at the sight. Too funny. But Loki's fun was short-lived. Thor climbed down Jack's new beanstalk and grabbed his hammer from his cunning half-brother. "Desist, evil one," Thor thundered. "Let the storm clouds cease." Binding Loki, Thor led him back to imprisonment in Asgard. Before he went, Thor gave Jack his helmet for helping him capture the villain. What a story! Be sure to keep an eye out for the next rainbow. Would you climb it to Asgard? I think I would. I think. See you again very soon for more stories.
Who's ever lost one sock? Everybody. A red sock, a blue sock, a rugby sock, a football sock, everyone. So this is all about what happens to that one sock. Here we go. The sock monster. It's not in my drawer. It's not in my wardrobe. One of my socks, white and red. It's not in the basket. It's not on the floor. It's definitely not under my bed. It's not in the washer. It's not in the dryer. It's not on my bedroom floor. It's not in my pocket. It's not in my school bag. It's definitely no more. The sock monster's at it. He's greedy and fat. He's taking a hungry bite. He's hiding in darkness. He's lurking in shadows. An expert at out of sight. He likes multicolours and different materials. His favourites are football socks. He creeps into rooms in the middle of the night, a sly and cunning fox. He roots through my drawers and opens my wardrobe, searching for precious prey. One sock he steals from a fancied pair before he slips away. Into the night he disappears. He's vanished in a tryst, and I wake up in the morning, searching for my socks missed. £1,000 reward for the sock monster's capture.
Today's story is about a horse, not just any horse, possibly the most famous horse in history. Do you want to hear about it? It's a story about Justin Tyme, our time-travelling boy. Granny always thought of Justin as being about 4 years of age. So her gifts could sometimes be rather embarrassing. Take the GG backpack, for example. Poor Justin had hoped for something a little more manly to suit his 10 years of age. At school that afternoon, two of Justin's classmates showed off items they had brought in to exhibit at the history fair. One boy had a helmet from World War II, while a girl had brought in her grandmother's signed copy of an old pop record. Justin decided to travel back in time on his special time board to try and find his own exhibit for the fair. He flew from the time hole and came to land near the ancient city of Troy. The Greeks had been besieging the city for over 10 years, but they couldn't break through Troy's strong walls. Strangely, the Greeks seemed interested in Justin's backpack. When they saw how it unzipped, they had a brilliant idea. Calling on their carpenters, they put them to work on a most astonishing project. The carpenters worked furiously through the night. At sunrise, a sentry on the wall of Troy called the alarm as he saw a magnificent wooden horse standing on the plain before the city. The Greek armies had completely disappeared. The people of Troy thought that their enemies had given up and returned to Greece. They believed the horse was a gift from their gods. But when the horse was pulled inside the city, the Trojans got a terrible surprise. The Greeks had been hiding inside the hollow horse. Now they stormed out to attack their foe. The battle was short, and the victorious Greeks thanked Justin for giving them the idea of the wooden horse. Time to head home, thought Justin, speeding up towards the time hole. I've got a great idea for my exhibit. Back in the present, Justin proudly displayed his GG backpack at the school history fair. Yep, this was the inspiration for the wooden horse of Troy, he assured his very puzzled teacher. Are you ready? Full of beans for yet another adventure? Jack of the Beanstalk certainly is. Just look at him. All he has to do is plant one of his magic beans. Look what's happened this time. To Jack's surprise, this bean hasn't grown a beanstalk to the clouds, but rather a shoot that carried him away across the land. Where's that boy off to now? Fretted Mum. It must have been a runner bean, thought Jack, trying to keep his balance as the bean shoot left dry land and headed out across the stormy ocean. Hours later, Jack saw a small island appear on the far horizon. The bean shoot dropped Jack on the island before withering away in the salty sea. Jack was astonished to see that the island was the home of a man called Robinson Crusoe, who had been shipwrecked there years ago. Robinson was delighted to see Jack, but the mood changed a minute later when Captain Horrible and his pirate crew landed on the island. They were in search of buried treasure. The pirates made Jack and Robinson dig deep holes in the beach in search of gold and jewels. Exhausted and hungry, Jack ate one of his magic beans. Now, this was not the best idea that Jack had ever had. In an instant, he had grown higher than the highest cloud in the sky, and he was still growing. It was the most frightening thing Captain Horrible and his crew had ever seen, and they had seen many frightening things in their lives. Trying to avoid being squashed by Jack's gigantic feet, the pirates fled back to the safety of their ship. Jack was now so tall that his head reached into outer space, it was little wonder that he suddenly lost his balance. Down Jack tumbled way across the vast ocean to land with a bump outside his own cottage. Luckily, the effect of the magic bean started to wear off, returning Jack to his normal size. That evening, Jack took his telescope and walked to High Cliff. Looking out to sea, he wondered how his friend Robinson Crusoe was coping far away on his lonely island. What a story. Where do you think Jack's next beanstalk will go? Any ideas? Up? Down? Sideways? We'll see very soon. See you then. Perfect timing. Another story coming up of Justin Tyme, the time-travelling boy. Where would you go if you could travel in time? You'd go anywhere. Think of it. Would you go and see the dinosaurs? Would you go to the Ice Age? Would you go World War II? If you were in Liverpool, you'd see bombs dropping on our beautiful city. What a place history is. Today, Justin's going way back in time, as you'll see. Tomorrow would be Mum's birthday, and Justin Tyme was racking his brains trying to think of a present to give her. Why not paint her a picture? Dad whispered during breakfast. So all that day, Justin worked with his paints. He painted picture after picture after picture, but none of them turned out right. Maybe I'll find inspiration if I take a trip into the past on my time board, thought Justin, crumpling up his 20th painting. Mum likes old-fashioned paintings. And so Justin hopped onto his amazing time board, and soon he was speeding up into the sky and straight into the time hole. I wonder which time period I'll end up in today, he pondered. Justin sped across history until he came into land near two cavemen. Oops, I think I've travelled too far back in time. I don't think I'll find any paintings round here. But he was wrong. Peering inside a cave, Justin found two cavemen busily painting pictures on the walls. For paint, they were using brown and yellow earth and soot. They were painting pictures of the animals they hunted for food. The cavemen suddenly spotted Justin and angrily attacked him. Time to go, thought Justin. One of the cavemen hurled a great slab of rock that had broken off the cave wall after Justin as he headed homewards. Justin ducked just in time as the slab flew across time to land in his own bedroom. The next day, Mum was lost for words when Justin presented her with her birthday present. It's an old-fashioned painting, he explained. Very, very, very old-fashioned. Do you remember the Pied Piper? He's the chap with the mysterious musical pipes. Well, we've got another story about him coming up. Earlier today, Mr. P. Piper was busy displaying goods outside the junk shop when a homeless man shuffled past. The man was mumbling to himself as he pushed his belongings in a rusty old trolley. Perhaps I'll find the music today. Somebody once told me that the pipes could be heard in Sefton Park, muttered the man as he turned into the huge parkland. It's time to feed my friends. They must be hungry. I've been hungry since last I heard the music. Reaching the famous statue of Peter Pan, the old man broke crumbs from a stale loaf of bread to feed the birds of the park. That boy's got pipes. It reminds me of the story of the music. The story started long ago when Hamlin Town was overrun with rats. It got so bad that every house in the town was knee-deep in rats. And then, one day, the music came, and the rats followed the sound out of the town to their doom in the nearby river. The man who played the magic music was the Pied Piper. The town council had agreed to pay him 1,000 guilders if he could rid the town of rats. But once the rats were gone, they refused to pay. So the piper played a different tune, and the children of the town followed him. The unearthly music conjured images of a joyous land in the minds of the children as the piper led them through a magical doorway set in a hillside. As the door closed, only one child was left behind, too slow to keep up with his playmates. For years, he wandered the earth, trying to find that wonderful land that the music had promised him. At that moment, the homeless man heard a sound that took him back to a day long ago in his childhood. It was the music, the magical music. As if in time to the sound, the statue of Peter Pan swung aside to reveal a doorway set in the ground. Inside the doorway stood his childhood friends. They called for him to join them at long last. And as the statue swung back into place, music from two pipes rang out across the green park. What a story. Have you been to Sefton Park? Have you seen the statue of Peter Pan? If you haven't, you should take a trip there and listen and see if you can hear the music.
Now this poem is all about my mysterious Moggy. If you've got a cat, you'll know what I mean. Where does it go every night? Who knows? Nobody will ever know. So this is all about it. Where does my cat go every single night? For hours and hours he's out of my sight. His fur is black and he's difficult to see, so as midnight strikes, where on earth could he be? I often wonder, is he a witch's cat? A secret pet like a vampire bat? Is he allowed a broomstick ride, twisting and turning, hover and glide? Has he mixed her potions and spells, stirring her cauldron, bubbling smells? Perhaps he wanders for miles on Halloween, watching trick-or-treaters without being seen. Every morning he creeps into my house, and sometimes he carries a little dead mouse. But I'll never know what his eyes have seen, his nighttime haunts, the places he has been. These are his secrets, locked into his head like my secret money box, hiding under my bed. Oh, I've told you where it is now.
Remember, remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. That's a very famous poem, very old poem from the year 1605. Can you do the maths? A long time ago. Today's story is all about that particular time period. And we're going to travel back there with our friend, Justin Tyme. Remember him? He's the guy with the time board that can travel through history. One year, as bonfire night approached, Justin Tyme took a trip on his time-travelling time board. He was trying to think of ways of raising money to buy fireworks for the big night. Arriving in the year 1605, Justin landed in the streets of London. A mysterious-looking man signalled to him from a dark alleyway. The man said he would pay Justin if he would help him push a heavy barrow across the town. Justin noticed that the man seemed nervous as he kept looking back over his shoulder to see if they were being followed. Reaching the Westminster area, the man rolled barrels from the barrow through a low doorway. Then he paid Justin for his help. Justin thought that there was something very suspicious about the man, so he kept watch until he saw him leave the building where he had stored the barrels. Quietly pushing open the door of the deserted building, Justin entered a dingy room. A hole had been knocked through a wall of the room. Stepping through the hole, Justin found himself in a long tunnel that sloped downwards. At the end of the tunnel, Justin entered a cellar. The barrels he had helped push on the barrow were stacked along one wall. Pulling a lid from one of the barrels, Justin saw that they were filled with gunpowder. As the lid of the barrel crashed to the floor, a squad of guards flung open the cellar door. "Hail, conspirator!" they cried as Justin soared over their heads to escape on his time board. Outside, as Justin flew towards the time hole, he saw that the guardsmen had captured the man he had helped with the barrels. "Guy Fawkes, we arrest you in the name of the king," said a guard. Home from his travels, Justin looked at the coin the man had given him. That must be the first time anyone has been given a penny from the guy, he thought.